I'm Josh Gernick for MyPoint TV in Austin, Texas, where behind me is the new 375-acre headquarters of Zoho, a cloud app company which recently up and moved from the Bay Area to Austin, bringing with it hundreds of new jobs. You can just look at the skyscrapers going up downtown and know business is booming here in Texas. And yes, in late June, the state reversed course and shut down parts of the economy once again after a sharp increase in COVID-19 cases. But here's a question. With Texas determined to open up quicker than the coast during this COVID-19 pandemic, is the Lone Star State poised to make even greater economic gains over California and New York? The economists I spoke with tell me that at the end of the day, our actions send a message that business does best in Texas, hard times or not.
If California insists on, we're going to take a hard line and we're going to keep things locked up longer, that's also a long-term signal to business that if you're located in California, you're going to be subject to more controls across the board. In Texas, you won't.
CEOs took notice. Full-time Tesla leader and part-time social media pot stirrer Elon Musk threatened to open his factory against county orders and, quote, move its HQ and future programs to Texas/Nevada immediately.
The tweet that he might leave California was, of course, a shot across the bow. You can't build a factory overnight. And then you've got all the specific equipment that they use, and that would have to be moved and all that. That's pretty expensive. Musk and Tesla probably were given some economic incentives to locate where they did. But if you leave early, or if you don't stay here for at least 10 years or 20 years, you have to pay us back that money. That was just saber rattling on his part to say, come on, you guys, get with it and open us back up. We can put in place some controls to prevent some of the most obvious forms of spreading the virus.
But saber rattling turns into a sword fight. California Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez didn't mince words. Just 2 words gave Musk a final blow. Reports show it may be the real deal, with Travis County already dangling the prospect of tax incentives to get the new Cybertruck built here. Regardless, numbers show Texas can slow another spreading harm of the pandemic, unemployment. Since COVID began wreaking havoc on the economy, of the 10 largest states, Texas has the lowest number of job losses. And this is while our oil economy is shocked by the price at the pump.
The middle of the country is doing the best. Of course, some of those are big states, and it's like Wyoming and Idaho, and it's not really South Dakota, North Dakota. You really can't compare Texas to those, but amongst the biggest states, Texas is doing the best.
We've long documented the economic exodus from the coast. The DFW area alone has seen Toyota arrive from LA, Charles Schwab from San Fran, and Six Flags from New York.
We have seen this kind of movement going on for years now, from New York, from Illinois, from California. The reason is not because we have wonderful weather or scenery. They moved to Texas because of the reasonable cost of living, the reasonable price of housing compared to what you face in California, and our taxes are substantially lower. They could live more cheaply perhaps in Oklahoma City, but that's too small of a city for major corporations. They need to be where you have a bigger population, a good airport so people can move and fly around for business purposes. So DFW and Houston in particular have great advantage. So it's a friendlier environment for business itself, but also for the employees of business who need to be able to afford to live there.
Looking beyond a company's choice of where to be, states' actions right now could affect those already there for years to come.
Those trickling effects are what economists call multipliers. And the multipliers have certainly set in. Let's suppose I work for a restaurant or in a hotel, I'll lose my job. Well, then I can't pay my rent. If I can't pay my rent, then my landlord doesn't have the money they normally have, and then they might not be able to go spend on their cleaning. And what we're seeing is repeated rounds of multiplier effects adding up. If you allow the multiplier effects to keep adding up over time, then you're going to dig yourself a much deeper hole to climb out of. And that's what California is doing by not opening up. That's what New York is doing. Texas is wisely trying to avoid that. Taking risks is a part of life. It always has been. If you go back and you look at the risks that our forefathers took in the early 1900s, there were over 100 different maladies around: whooping cough, diphtheria, scarlet fever, malaria. And then there was the Spanish flu of 1918. Back then, people couldn't afford to stay at home, and they didn't. And so we were, not being as wealthy as a nation, we got through these episodes much quicker. But today, these can drag on, and they are, because Americans are very reticent about taking risks anymore.
Now, Florida has also opened up quickly and long been a draw for New Yorkers, as miners says that's where they vacation and it's what they know. Like Texas, Florida also had to roll back its reopening after a large increase in COVID-19 cases. Still, the consensus here is one of getting business up and running as fast as possible, sending a statement to the rest of the nation. For MyPoint TV, I'm Josh Gurnick, and that's how I see it. Sign up to be a creator and share your story.